And now it is my honor and privilege to introduce our guest speaker, who needs no introduction, and by previous agreement, she is not going to get any special introduction other than to say she is a true friend of veterans, a wonderful servant to the state of Georgia, and most importantly, about to be the Grand Marshal of the next Atlanta Veterans Parade. There she is, boys and girls. Thank you, Trish.
Thank you, Art, for that great welcome. And I guess I'm the fourth runner-up for the John Butler Lookalike Contest. As always, it is great to be with y'all. I know I see so many friends that I see at so many other events, whether they are the We Care Veteran Fairs that I know we just saw one another at in Marietta with the last one, to I've seen y'all at the USO. I mean, when they say this is a service organization, I see it. And I just want to thank y'all. If you take nothing else from what I'm going to talk about today, which is mainly updates, because I've talked to you before, is thank you. Y'all are people whose audio matches your video. You do what you say you're going to do. And our organization, my organization, and the veterans in the state of Georgia are beholden to you. So thank you with that. So we might as well start with, for those who've never heard me talk, I always like to start with, we are not the VA. We are Georgia Department of Veterans Service. We are your advocate, mainly along 3 areas. The first of which we have the direct overlap with the VA, is the Veterans Benefits Administration. I know I've talked to many of you. You've gone to one of our now soon to be 60 offices across the state to file a VA disability claim, a pension claim, survivor's benefits, etc. That's what we help you do at no cost to you. We are free, we are accredited, which is very important. I'll let my friend Carrie King talk about how important accreditation is. But that's what we do, and that's how most people know us. Where we overlap in the National Cemetery Administration, they do oversee our 2 state cemeteries. You may not know this, we have 4 veteran cemeteries in the state of Georgia. We operate the one in Glenville outside of Fort Stewart, the one in Milledgeville, and then of course you have the National Cemetery, which is the VA's up in Marietta and in Canton, and then you have the one down in Andersonville, which is run by the National Park Service. For VA Health Administration, that's where we really have no overlap, but we get a lot of constituent requests to assist with VA health issues, but we do have some correlation for our 2 skilled nursing homes, which I'll talk about in a minute, because I know you went to visit our one in Milledgeville. So here's our statewide reach. This is just to show you that we have put a concerted effort mainly to reach our transitioning military members. I don't know how many of you remember when you transitioned out of the service. I don't know that it has gotten much better from when you transition to when I transition. And so catching those folks as they leave active duty at our military installations has been a key component of where we've headed as a department. And I'd like to thank my deputy up here, Kerry Dyer. He actually oversees that. He's a retired Command Sergeant Major. So I know you Army folks will give him a big hooah. There we go. So we, between actually being at our transition centers across the state or in what's known as a vector center, y'all have one here in Marietta, soon to have more across the state, to being in VA facilities. We try to be where our veterans are, or soon to be veterans are, so we can take care of whatever needs to be taken care of, which is in a future slide. So I like to show this because we punch way above our weight class. If you look at the demographics nationally, Georgia ranks about 9th for the number of veterans. We go back and forth with our friends in North Carolina, but we're currently 9th. But whether it's VA benefits, education benefits, you name it, the number of claims we filed under the PACT Act, we rank 5th. So you can see that we account for, and this is just Georgia Department of Veterans Service and not all of the individuals that file claims, almost $5.2 billion in VA compensation and pension to Georgia's veterans. So that's to y'all, that's to your friends, it's those that have come after you. So that's a significant amount. We've added some new folks since I last talked to you. So big ones for us, our suicide prevention coordinator trying to get upstream. of folks taking their lives. We do that in a multitude of ways, mainly through screening folks before they become at a crisis situation, as well as doing some mortality reviews so we can figure out some of the root causes. We've hired a homeless coordinator. She's been with us just over a year. She helps individuals. And so if you know of somebody that's homeless, on the verge of being homeless, she actually probably has the most exhaustive list of different places for them to stay across the state. And then transition and employment, again, because we are now trying to work so closely with our military members as they come out of the service, we're trying to get them connected to that next job, that next mission, that next purpose. So those are our new folks. Mental and behavioral grant, I show this because the state of Georgia actually invested $1 million for us to transfer to other organizations to provide clinical services, mental and behavioral health services, and these are our grantees. The biggest one is the Cohen Clinic, that's in Hinesville, just outside of Fort Stewart. We also helped fund the Emory Brain Health Care Program, that's their intensive PTSD TBI program. About Face, which does work up in Forsyth County, and then Kennesaw State, who's been primarily our research partner, but now as a clinical partner providing mental and behavioral health. So the War Veterans Homes, and this is my big thank y'all. Many of you came out to Milledgeville, and you knew last legislative session, as we were kind of gearing up for the budget season, we knew we needed additional funds. One, because of cost of living increases that we hadn't received in the last 10 years, and then to open our subacute therapy unit. That unit that was designed to combine mental and behavioral health services with skilled nursing. Because of your efforts, because of you showing up every time I called, talking to our legislators, getting out there, and quite honestly being a voice for our veterans, we ended up getting all the money we asked for and then a little bit more. And so that facility in Milledgeville, we did the grand opening and the ribbon cutting on September 2nd. We currently have 18 people in it, so fully one floor. And right now we are strategically adding new staff and then adding new veterans into that facility. So I just wanted to give y'all a big round of applause because this is huge for the state. And I can attribute it to y'all's support. We're also working, just so you know, to try and get a new veteran home. That's kind of our big initiative. We have the 2 homes. We are trying to get additional homes, so you may see something come out in this next session because that's our next big ask. On our cemeteries, the couple of things I just want to highlight, we did get grants to expand both of them. So we have 10 years worth of, whether it be columbarium space, plots. So if that is something you're considering, know we are well equipped to serve your needs. And that kind of leads me to my next one. I hate to pass up this opportunity. I realize so many folks have questions about what they call survivor's benefits or death indemnity compensation, DIC. So you know, here's the eligibility. The key to this is if you've not been service connected for the last 10 years at the 100% level, in which case pretty much anything you may pass from is considered military service connected by the VA. Your spouse, providing you have been married and they've not remarried, is entitled to compensation. At the moment, it's just over about $1,400 a month. The key piece to this is a service connection diagnosis also needs, not also, but in the event you don't have that 100% connection, that service connected diagnosis needs to be on the death certificate. You have no idea how many survivors we get and it's not on the death certificate, and we try and file the claim for them, and the VA, of course, usually tells us no, and then we try to get additional documentation. In some cases can go back and get that death certificate amended. But that's important for y'all to know, that reason for death needs to be service connected if your spouse is to receive those ongoing benefits. So I wanted to highlight that. I also have a public service announcement too. We just got calls starting yesterday. I don't know if any of y'all have received a postcard. Evidently, it looks kind of sort of official, but it is fraud season. And it's coming from, they say, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, and says you and your spouse may be entitled to an extra $185 a month based on your benefits. Just call this number. Fortunately, some folks have called our office and not the VA. It's not legit. We're putting that out on social media, so please be careful. That, unfortunately, is something that I think a lot of our veterans will fall for. Some of the other things we're doing, I know I've talked to y'all before about Unite Georgia. It's a way that virtually we can connect folks to a host of different resource partners. As you can imagine, with the federal shutdown, a lot of our veterans are in need. These are the partners, about 800 across the state, that we turn to. Kim Scofie, who runs the We Care Fairs, a big partner of ours. So that's how we get folks to those organizations that help. And I did just also want another public service announcement while I'm here. I got yet another call yesterday because of the federal government shutdown. If you have a loved one that passes away and they are a military veteran and you don't have their DD-214, the National Archives is closed. And so I have had to deal with multiple congressional offices to say there's nothing I can do if we don't have it in our database. With the archives being closed, those are veterans that aren't receiving the appropriate military funeral honors. So please, if you have a DD-214, tell your friends, keep the DD-214 where the family member knows where it is. File it with your county, do whatever so people know. Because unfortunately, during the shutdown, that has occurred. One time is too many, quite honestly. But this is how we connect folks to a variety of services. This is our brand new thing. We rolled it out just over about a week ago. Here Now Help. It's an app. So this is State of Georgia for every Georgia veteran. It provides, mental and behavioral health kind of support, whether it's reminding me to journal, which I did not do today. It's already yelled at me. To meditating, to breathing exercises. It's got some great videos, but it also provides 24/7 clinical support should you need it. This is free. We have rolled this out through the department to be able to reach our veterans, our military that are transitioning, as well as, again, as part of our suicide prevention efforts. So that is brand new. Always, I know folks want to know about, hey, what happened during the last legislative season? House Bill 53 that actually allowed for reserve and guardsmen, meeting kind of the criteria you can see up there, to be buried in our state cemeteries. Federal law actually allowed that, but state law did not, so we had to change state law. I do believe, depending on how the session goes, there might be some adjustments to that start date, so a discharge other than dishonorable after what was the start of the Gulf War, that may be pushed back to the date of the all-volunteer force. We'll see. And then House Bill 266, for those of you that are military retirees, it may not affect you, but it may affect folks that you know. They finally have exempted up to that $65,000 in military retirement from state income tax. Not fully all the way there, but that covers about 90% of our retirees in the state of Georgia. So that was a big lift. They've been working on this one for several years. And then we have a foundation with no money. We started in earnest a foundation a couple of years ago, and we have gotten through the legislature a license plate. You can see we're trying to honor all of those that have served, to include our emergency responders, especially since many of them have also served in military uniform. And so that is mainly in case you want something or your family wants something other than those military license plates you're entitled to. $10 of all the proceeds, providing we sell 1,000 to get these made, will go to our foundation, and then we'll raise funds to then subgrant out to organizations we're already working with to serve our veterans. And so those are my updates for the year. Skip said I had to be quick, so hopefully I was quick. Any question? I know if I open it up for questions, I get a lot of questions. But do we have time for just a couple?
Sure.
Okay, Art. I was watching Skip because he told me he was going to give me the hook, but Art says I can take questions, and he's the president, so. Yes, sir. I can repeat it.
And just a casual reminder, please, questions as opposed to statements.
Well, this is a kudo for one of your people, as opposed to a question. The fellow that does the job for helping veterans like me interface with the VA at the Cobb County Clinic did the job for me, and I got approved.
That would be Frank Mays. And I do have to tell you, so our Cobb offices are moving. Probably should give this group that update. Y'all are getting this before anybody else. So we did have the office on Powder Springs. I don't know how many of y'all have used the Powder Springs location. And we had the office at the Cobb Multi-Specialty Clinic, and then we have one in the Vector Center that's part of Chattahoochee Technical College. The Powder Springs location isn't the best of locations, was costing us a lot of money. Those two people, by the end of this month, will be moving to the Vector Center. So part of the Chattahoochee Tech, that whole center that is designed to assist veterans, it's got community partners as well as our service officers, will now have all 3 service officers in there. So thank you for those kudos. I'll make sure to let Frank know. And I know probably many of y'all have, hopefully, have success stories with our veteran service officers who really are the boots on the ground folks that help y'all. Any other questions? I've been here so many times, I've answered them all. Y'all are just tired. They did the business meeting. I cannot follow the Distinguished Service Awards. That's just a hard act. I don't know who put me in this lineup, but
I'm in trouble.
He's in trouble. But thank y'all. I hope to see you at the parade. Yes, I am the Grand Marshal. I don't know that that will be my wave. I hope it doesn't rain because I'm going to be riding in the back of a Humvee. And if y'all remember a couple of years ago when it was miserable and cold and wet, praying for good weather for all of us. So thank you.
Trish, thank you very much. And before you leave, on behalf of the AVVBA, we were talking about the... Go ahead.
Thank y'all.
Anyhow, we were talking about the 3rd book coming up, I'm Ready to Talk. So I think it was the 2nd book is the one where if you're having trouble sleeping because you read Skip's articles. But the 1st book doesn't have that, so allow me to present that for a thank you and a challenge coin from the AVVBA. And we look forward to seeing you as we march past. Thank you very much.
Thanks,